Hello everybody, Lightbrite's Logic back here to do a Chapter 8. I don't know which way I should go on Chapter 8. Chapter 7 was about me writing a letter to this lady in the review division, a vice chair actually, telling her that when I read her decision, I tried to get a hold of her to ask her to explain to me how she came to the decision that she came to. But I couldn't find her. She had vanished. So if WCB is doing their job and they say they're doing it properly and they follow procedure, then why don't they make themselves available to the injured worker after they do their decisions? I think it's because they're cowards. They don't want to hear it. You know? I did notice when dealing, it didn't matter who or what. When dealing with anybody who is handling the injured worker's file, they are all very nice until you bring up the issue of money. As soon as you mention it, depending on which one that they feel like using, they will shut down the conversation and it will be over. They actually get very rude. They don't swear because they're not allowed to swear. But they don't let you answer or talk either. They talk over top of you and conclude the phone call. This is very unnecessary treatment. If they are going to destroy somebody's life, they should not be able to talk condescendingly or talk like their one person is going to save your whole file and change everything around for you, because they never do. They're not there for the worker. They aren't. They're there to get you in the most expedited way back to work. That's all they care about. So when you see all these paperwork, it's because they actually need paperwork to have something to show in case you go to court with them. Then they pull all this paperwork out. And they usually come down when they're arguing something, they'll come down to one little word and argue that word and what its meaning is and what is its meaning. Well, none of us are lawyers, just like none of us are home care providers. You know? The reason why we're sitting in just about year 6, not year 7, is because I wouldn't allow my husband to sit around for a whole year. I was worried how his mental abilities would go if he just sat there for a year. So I made him challenge his injury. I backed him and supported him behind it, but I made him challenge it. Without that challenge, we would have never known if he could have succeeded. Now we know that he couldn't have succeeded, but it wasn't for lack of trying. He was the best student ever. I have letters upon letters from his teachers saying that he has not seen such passion in a student since Jamie in about 4 years, 4 or 5 years. That was from one teacher. Basically, all the teachers had to say that he struggled and still couldn't retain the information, but he never gave up. He proceeded to go on. So he made the prerequisite courses. He had the teachers from our college here write to the administrators in the college he was going to take his automotive training. They got him in. He was accepted. When he was accepted, Ina phoned me and said that the board isn't going to pay for a 2-year program. On the count of he was only granted a 23-1 award, and that means 26 weeks or less for training. Now, Ina picked him to be retrained as a pipe fitter, and she was well aware that after he was trained as a pipe fitter, there would be no work for him. So why would she waste our time like that? Why? This needs to be addressed. Because you see, they're getting all of us injured workers on one fact: time. And time is money. And as time goes by, the injured worker gets deeper in debt. But if you bring up the subject of debt, they will reprimand you and treat you like a child. This is unfair treatment. And we need to find a way to join together the whole country to bring it to a head in Ottawa that human rights are being violated. And you know what? It's kind of like our healthcare system. And I know about this one because I'm very, very unhealthy. I have been very, very sick with certain things my whole life. So, when you are sick and you need health care, and they don't and it doesn't come through the way it needs to, how does the injured fight? And it's only the injured who spark the fight, because if you weren't injured, you wouldn't have any way of knowing what is going on. Nobody knows until they get injured what's going to happen. You know? When you say, oh, I got hurt, my husband's on WCB, they go, oh, you're making a really good wage. Why is that? Why is that? I'd like to say, who in their right minds is going to say that they're making a good wage on WCB? I've been in a 6-year fight for my husband. We have excessive debt, some of which incurred because of WCB. We now have a student loan debt. Because I was so worried that if he took a course Ina was wanting him to take, a pipe fitter, there's no work for him. Why in the hell would she send him to a position to get trained for no work? He grew up in this town. He lives in this town the whole life. We have a mortgage in this town. We have 2 children that go to school in this town. Is she supposed to be telling us that they will actually pick up and move us? Because he was injured. Pipe fitter, Ina. I want to know out there if anybody has came across the same instance. WCB will actually pay for spots ahead of time so that they can reserve so many seats in each district that they want to send the injured worker in to be retrained. Positions that take 26 weeks. Pipe fitter, plumber assistant, electrician, landscaper, stuff like this. I'd like to hear some people if they've heard about that. I'm going to start a chapter 9 on that issue. I have lots to say. As an injured worker's wife, I really want us to all come together. It might not help us right now, but it's going to help injured workers in the future, and I really hope we can curb the suicide and the ill treatment of the employees from WCB against us, the injured worker. I want to tell all you injured workers to hang on and fight. This is Lightbrite. We'll see you in chapter 9.